Good afternoon, members. Just want to confirm that you can hear me.
Are we okay for sound this time?
I can hear you okay, Ron. Can you hear me? Paul, can you hear me? No, I don't think so.
Good afternoon, committee members and members of the public. We're just experiencing some technical difficulties with the WebEx platform right now. We're going to try and figure it out as soon as possible. Yeah. Good afternoon, members. Can you guys all hear me? I'm not talking to you, Mike.
Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Thanks,
I
folks.
can hear you. Enter the event panelist numeric password, followed by pound.
Mr. Chair, when you're ready to start the
Okay.
meeting, let's start the second session.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for the technical difficulties. We're back online now. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching it on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants are automatically muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. For all those who are waiting online, please ensure that you have called in with the phone number that you originally registered with. If you call in with a different number, you will not be able to speak on that item. To ensure audio clarity, I suggest that you do not use the speakerphone function on your telephones. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Alan Smithies, and I will chair today's meeting. Joining us on the panel today are Ron Hunt, Asif Khan, Paul Kidd, and Nadini Sankar Peralta. City staff are also present: Daniel Antonacci, Jenny Kotas, and Adam Wills. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone attending today who wants to receive a copy of the committee's decision must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, it may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, LPAT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. The hearing procedure is as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if desired. If the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak on that item. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5-minute limit. When addressing the committee, please state clearly your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application. The applicant or agent proceeds first and will make their presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. To ensure that a revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it has been substantially revised. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application are invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the previous speakers. This marks the end of discussion on the item. The application is then taken into committee for a decision. Are there any committee members here this afternoon who have a conflict of interest they'd like to declare? None? Okay, thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair,
Oh,
I have, yes, I have two items that I have to declare. Item number 22.
okay, that's 40
40
Chatfield
Chatfield
Drive.
Road. That's right. And also item 25, 111 Gordon Road. I'm acquainted with the agent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kidd. I've noted that. Okay, we'll now proceed to our agenda. I just like to note we have a item that we have to put on the top of the agenda today. That's item number 3338, Alexandra Wood. I understand there's maybe a request for a deferral here. I have the agent as the only person registered to speak, Janice Robinson. Are you there?
Hello,
Yes, Ms. Robinson.
Janice
you there?
Robinson here. Yes,
Yes.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, Janice Robinson of Goldberg Group. The address of the firm is 2098 Avenue Road. Thanks for moving this request up.
Okay. Madam, I understand that you'd like to defer your application?
Yes, the owners have obviously know about the objection from the neighbor at 36 Alexandra Wood. They have been in discussions with them and their legal counsel since last week and right up until this morning. And they haven't reached an agreement yet and want more time to resolve the concerns they have regarding the tree on their property and the potential impact of that tree from the proposed new dwelling. So I am requesting deferral
Okay,
and
thank you,
to the
madam.
next.
Oh, I'm sorry, just a moment. Okay,
Mr. Chair, members, there is the lawyer for the neighbors is present on the call if they'd like the opportunity to speak as well.
okay, yeah, thank you. Just a moment, Mr. Wills. Is there any questions of the speaker? Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next. We have a speaker online. Can I get your name and address, please, sir?
Yeah, good morning or good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Adam Brown, 5075 Yonge Street, Suite 900, Toronto, M2N 6C6. And speaking on behalf of the owners of 36 Alexandra, Ms. Beck and Mr. Gottesman. And we support the deferral. There's a tree on our client's property that, based on the current design, would have to be removed to accommodate that design. So there needs to be a little further discussion. Hopefully wouldn't take too long, and the applicant can get back on as soon as you can possibly allow them to get back on, but a deferral will, I'm confident, allow for a resolution of the issue.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on the deferral request, please?
Ron Hunt.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay. Yes, I would, having heard from the two parties, I would recommend a deferral sine die to give them an opportunity to resolve their issues.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hunt. Could I get someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion?
If you can't see me, it's Ms. Sankar. Her
Okay,
author.
thank you. Mr. Khan, will you support that motion?
Sir, what item we are talking about?
Okay, that's,
33.
33?
oh, I'm sorry.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Okay,
Let
33,
me
fine.
start over again. I messed that one up. Ms. Sankar, you made a motion to defer. Can I get someone to second? Our video feed is flickering on and off here, so you're going to
Yeah,
have to rely on the
that's
audio.
okay.
So, Ms. Sankar, you made a motion.
Mr.
for
Chair,
deferral?
it's no, it's Mr. Hunt that made it a motion and I seconded it,
Okay.
and Mr. Khan and as well as Mr. Kidd supported.
Mr. Kidd, are you in favor of the deferral?
I'm in favor.
He's,
In favor of the deferral.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Robinson, your request for a deferral has been approved. Look forward to your application. It's been deferred sine die so that you can consult with the affected neighbor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go back to our regular agenda. Item number 22, Mr. Kidd, you have a conflict. We are on 40 Chatfield Drive. I have, let's go back here. I have one person registered to speak. That's Mr. Rubinoff. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Mr.
Good
Rubinoff.
afternoon.
Thank you very much. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Glenn Rubinoff, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask, there is a city planning report attached to your file dated the 17th of February. They appear to have no objection to your application, provided that your proposal is developed substantially in accordance with the building length and building depth that includes the excavated deck as shown on the site plan drawing attached to this report. Have you had an opportunity to review that report, sir?
Yes, I have, and we are in full agreement. The nature of this application is simply to excavate under the deck. Nothing above ground has changed from what
Okay,
was.
thank you, sir. You have 3 variances before us. It's pretty clear what you're asking for. Is there anything you'd like to tell the committee that isn't in your file that's before us today?
No, just the staff report indicates that everything above grade is as is. It's just simply to excavate under the rear deck, and there's no adverse impacts on any neighbors or any
Okay, thank you,
anything
sir.
in the neighborhood. Okay.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please?
Mr. Chair, I'll put forward a motion. I believe that it does meet the 4 tests and it's minor in nature. I'll put forward a motion to approve this application and make it subject to the February 17th staff report, and that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the building length and building depth. That includes the excavated back as shown in the site plan drawing that was submitted. And that's my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion?
Second.
Mr.
Second.
Hunt seconds. All those in favor?
In favor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Khan. That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to city planning condition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 23, 53 Wembley Road. I have one person registered to speak. That is the agent Arico Law. Are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes, thank you, sir. Could I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Rico Law, and the address is 53 Wembley Road.
Okay, thank you, sir. I note that you have one variance before us today for the floor space index. There are no staff conditions or comments attached to your file. I think it's pretty clear what you're asking for. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us today?
No, I think it's very clear and direct of this variances.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please?
Can I move the motion, please?
Okay, Mr. Khan, can you repeat that? I didn't pick it up.
Can I move the motion, please?
Okay,
Yeah, my motion is straightforward, simple, a minor variance, and it complies with the zoning bylaw, so I move it be approved.
okay. So you're making a motion to approve the application?
Yes, sir.
Okay, someone to second that?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Sankar seconds. All those in favor? Mr. Hunt?
Okay, I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you.
Hunt
Mr.
is in favor.
Okay, Mr. Law, your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you, sir. Item number 24, 187 Old Yonge Street. I have 2 people registered to speak. The agent is a Ron Safapour. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask, there's a report city planning report attached to your file dated the 17th of February. The city planning appears to have no objections to your application, provided that the proposal is developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing attached to their report. Have you had an opportunity to review that report, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. If you could give us, we have one other person registered to speak on this application, so if you could give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Yes. The application is very straightforward. It's not so much variances on the height or setbacks or even the coverage. The owners, they have an old grandma.
Sir, we're having trouble hearing you. Your voice is breaking up. Can you make sure you turn off any audio devices? Just speak into your telephone.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The owners, the family, they have an old grandma. She needs to live in the main floor. That's why we have only the portion of the house, actually 1/4 of width of the house. This portion is exceeding the length of the bylaw. That's it.
Sir, we've lost you. We can't hear you. Oh, that's it? Okay, sir. Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to our next person, deputant on the list. I have a Christopher Jepson. Are you there, sir?
I am. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, Mr. Jepson. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Chris Jepson, 185 Old Yonge Street, North York, M2P 1R2.
Great.
It's
Thank
the
you,
house
sir.
immediately to the...
If you could give us your thoughts on this application.
Right. Thanks for giving me some of your time today. Good afternoon. I'm in the house. I'm the owner of the house immediately to the south of the property we're discussing. And, I have no objection in principle to the proposal to build a new and larger house on the lot beside mine. Developers have been doing that in this neighborhood for some time. My concern is with the sheer size of the proposed new house and where it would sit on the lot and the effect it would have on the sunlight that reaches my backyard and the privacy of my family. The effects on other neighbors would be the same, of course. Now, I'm not equipped to comment in any detail on the point about the sheer size of the proposed house, since all I have to go on is the drawing that came with the notice of the hearing. So that'll have to be left to your professional judgment. I'll simply say that I don't see how bylaws made for the public good should be disregarded simply because someone asks, or for the purpose of private enrichment. It'll be interesting to see if this house goes on the market a year or so after it's built. So it's not a matter of, weighing the benefits of more affordable housing or any of the other things that you might have to weigh when a new large building goes up in some other a neighborhood with different zoning. But what I want to spend a moment on is the location of the new house on the lot. The current house lines up with the back, at its back with the back of my house and with the back of the house to the north. However, the front of the current house is set back quite a bit further from the curb than my house is. Now, if the new house was to be aligned with the curb setback of my house, its extension at the back would encroach much less on the backyard. As you can see from the drawing, it's going to eat up a very large part of the backyard as things stand now. And this solution, I suggest, would also mean the loss of less loss of sunlight and privacy, not only in my backyard, but in the backyards of the other neighbors too. And that's really all I wanted to say, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker?
Can I ask one question?
Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. I remember you were talking about your privacy and the extension of this house on the backside. Do you see a lot of windows, or what is your main concern? Is there too many windows, balconies, or what? How is your privacy affected?
The privacy would be affected by whatever windows they put out there. The drawings don't give me anything like that level of detail. It simply shows a very large coverage of the lot. It shows an extension of, well, I'm eyeballing this, maybe a third further back further depth on the house. And so obviously that shades and overlooks my backyard, unless they're not putting any windows, and that would be a strange thing to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker?
Just one question, Mr. Speaker, or Mr. Chair. Am I correct in the fact that this gentleman, his house is south of the applicant's lot?
That's right. I'm immediately south.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my head around how shadowing would be an issue for you, given
It'll
this
be
time.
less obviously, but the sun moves across the sky. I would imagine the lot to the south will be affected more.
Okay.
I mean, to its north, I'm sorry. Now that'll doubtless be before you soon. There's a surveyor out there today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to Mr. Safapour. Are you there, sir? Mr. Safapour, are you there?
Hello,
Yes, Mr. Safapour, are you there?
can you hear me? Yes?
Yes, we can hear you. Did you
Okay.
hear the comments from Mr.
Yes,
Jensen?
I did, sir.
Can you
First of
please
all,
respond to those?
yes, please. First of all, the house of the opposite opponent is south of our house. Secondly, the portion of the extension of the exceeded from the bylaw is at north side of the house. If you take a look at the site plan, you will see the portion that is exceeded from the bylaw is the north side of the house. Is never ever going to be block the sunshine or view of the sunlight to the neighbor, to the south neighbor. It's impossible.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr.
Can I make a motion? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see the lot is quite large, and length and depth larger than the allowable are consistent with the neighborhood. So therefore, I move that this development be substantially in accordance with the site plan drawings attached to this report as recommended by the staff. So I move this application be approved.
Okay, Mr. Khan makes a motion to approve the application. Someone to second that? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions. No, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. It's without condition. My mistake.
Thank you so much.
Hang on just a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's subject to city planning condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Item number 25, 111 Gordon Road. I have two people registered to speak. I have the agent, Mr. Glenn Rubinoff. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Rubinoff, there's a report from City Planning dated the 17th of February, and they're recommending refusing variances number 4 and 5 relating to building length and depth. I wanted to ask you, does this effectively, if these variances were removed, does it effectively torpedo your application?
Well, yes, it does. And I'd like to explain what those variances are.
Then I just wanted to ask, sir, before you proceed, would you like to defer your application to discuss it further with City Planning?
No, no, we had our discussions with city planning, and we have reasons for the request that we have, which I can go into when we,
Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that, sir. So if you could, you're willing to proceed. So if you could give us a presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Yes, thank you very much. So there's if you go to the site plan, of what we've shown on this property. It's a corner lot at the corner of Birchwood and Gordon Road. And it's a property where we had to look at the siting of the house very carefully with regards to a garage, an entrance into the house. As you can see, with all the circles around the house, it's surrounded by trees. And we had some back and forth with the location of the building to protect trees effectively. And what we did was we ended up shifting the house back, keeping in mind that we're on a corner, so there's no one next to us on the right-hand side there. That's the street. But the length is taken from the neighboring house setback to the left. So our actual length of the building is not what's indicated on the variances. The actual building length is quite a bit shorter. If I could ask you to look at the elevation, the view from the Birchwood view of the front elevation, if you could show that on the screen. The building itself has a 2-story portion and a 1-story portion. The 2-story portion is actually 19.91 meters. And it's bordered by a 1-story portion at the front and a 1-story portion at the back. It's very much balanced, as you can see. There's a certain symmetry to it. But by shifting the house back as we did, we were able to preserve city trees. There's about 7 city trees, and all of them are being preserved. We had to find a location on the property where we could put the garage without having injury to them. And this worked out the way we had hoped. We had looked at it, but the actual length of the 2-story portion, which is the part that most people are concerned about, considering, heights and such, is at 19.91. And the map that you originally showed at the beginning, the first slide that you put on there, we have there's several approvals in the area for length falling into that category. The 1-story portions do factor into the length, but their impact is much less, especially on a corner property like this. Some people would even argue that the fact that we've set the house further back from Gordon gives more of a visual appreciation. If you go to the first page of that, to the top of that there, of that sheet, that's the supporting materials. If you can go to the very top, the one which shows there, that's what it's talking about. The yellow is the location. So it's across from, I think it's a school across the road there. But there's a lot of people who drive down, Gordon and would want to turn. Having our house set back a bit further provides more visibility. I know it's a concern about the length because it sounds terrible, but it's not in fact representative of the actual length of the building. The building length, if you take it from, if I were looking at the length of the building, we've added 4.72 meters of length just simply for the fact that we've shifted the building back. So 4.72 meters is actually not the length of the building. It's just set this house specifically in a way to make it have minimal impact on the natural environment. We are complying with the side yard setbacks. It's our front yard is really what the issue is, that we're taking the length from the neighboring house, not from the actual front of the house. And I feel that considering the fact that our lot
Can you
coverage.
summarize, please?
Yeah, just wanted to say one final thing. We are within the lot coverage, and that's an important point. We're not asking for additional lot coverage in the property.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to our next speaker on the list. I have Christopher Cowan. Are you there, sir?
Hi, Christopher
Mr.
Cowan here.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
Christopher Robert Cowan, 100 Monroe Boulevard,
Okay,
Toronto. Okay, I'm the neighbor immediately to the south of this property. I did have one concern about your committee because I noticed the surname for Miss, the names aren't showing there anymore, but ending in Peralta. The builder and owner of the property has an employee that manages the property right now with the same surname. So I just wanted to ensure that there's no conflict there.
Well, we can.
No
ask-
conflict whatsoever.
Good to know. So first of all, the building looks, the home looks beautiful. I'm not in contest of that at all. I am very concerned about the trees on the property being preserved because they are very old growth, it would appear. I'm also quite concerned reading the comments of the city planning staff that have the opinion that the building itself has unfavorable scale and massing impacts. So it scares me in terms of I can't imagine what this building will look like when it's built. But it is the footprint of the building has moved an awful lot closer to my backyard and almost looks like it's leaving no yard there at all by the time the thing is built. So I'm opposed to it because I think that they're trying to say that these are minor variances. They're not, in my opinion. It appears from the examples that they're using in the neighborhood that the building length is almost 10 meters more than most of the in the area.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to Mr. Rubinoff. You've heard the comments from Mr. Cowan, if you'd like to respond.
Yes, I do. I appreciate his comments with regards to the tree preservation. We have made the effort. And the trees that are at the back, there are several of them, will not be affected. In fact, that should provide enough privacy if there's any concerns related to that. I also will point out that we do not have a rear yard setback variance. It's actually quite a deep lot. It's 172 feet deep and change. And we are maintaining 12.48 meters to the deck, to the backyard. So we're exceeding the requirements of any rear yard requirement. In fact, I don't think the impact, that's to the one-story portion, and that's to the deck. If I'm looking at it from the two-story portion, we're looking at probably about close to 18 meters from the two-story portion to the back property, and that's just to the property line. So I do understand his concerns, and as I mentioned about massing, we are under the required, under the permitted lot coverage permission. So we're not asking for a bigger home than is permitted to be built on the lot. It's really about us locating the home in a way that minimizes the impact on the existing forested area. And we feel that we've made an effort here, but it does contribute to the building length and depth consideration. And we are asking for some length. I'm not going to say we're not, but it's nothing that's out of range of what's been approved in the area. We are talking about a two-story portion and then a one-story portion at the front and at the rear. I think combined, when you look at it, this will not have any massing or impact on the neighborhood the way that some people might be concerned it would be. It's a building which I think will address the corner. It's got the two streets. It's not going to be causing shadowing effects or impacts on neighbors. It's really just something to address the corner, and it's going to be within the forest effectively. So I feel that, I understand the comments of planning, and in a traditional sense, I would do what I can to shift it forward, but we really did try to make this compatible with the lot and in the area. And I feel that this is a reasonable application considering that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rubinoff. Is there any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please?
May I make a motion?
Yes, Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think variance number 4 and 5, which has been addressed by Mr. Rubinoff, and also staff has made recommendations on 4 and 5. So what I assess in my judgment, I find that the 4 and 5 variances are inconsistent, inappropriate, unfavorable impact by proposal length and depth, not minor in nature, not meeting the intent of official plan and zoning bylaws. Therefore, I move that variance number 4 and 5 be refused.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just to confirm, Mr.
Can't hear you.
Sir, can I, Mr. Khan, can I just confirm then that you want to approve variances 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7, but refuse variances 4 and 5? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Thank you. Someone to second Mr. Khan's motion? I have no one that seconds that motion. Can I get another motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, hi. Mr. Chair, I think that based on what the applicant has explained in terms of the location of this property, its impact in the surrounding areas. And, you know, I mean, I'm just looking at it because everything else besides the 4 and 5 is seems to be minor in nature. It is variance 4 and 5 that I would have been concerned about, but the explanations provided by the applicant seems to sit okay with me. And, you know, hearing what the neighbors had said as well, I considered that, but I think at this time, I feel comfortable with the explanations provided by the applicant. So I'm going to motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Mr. Hunt, will you approve that? Will you second?
Yes.
That? Yes, you second that?
Second.
Yes.
All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Sir, your application has been approved without condition. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, Paul's said it, Khan. Okay, we're now on item number 26, which is 50 Wimpole Drive. I have 2 people registered to speak. The agent is a Sean Tusi. Are you there, sir?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask, there's a city planning report attached to your file dated the 17th of February, 2021, and it recommends refusing variances 2 and 3 relating to reductions in front yard landscaping. What I wanted to ask is, would you like to defer your application to discuss that issue with city planning, or would you like to proceed?
We would like to proceed, Mr. Chair, but I will add that we have already discussed with them and we have received a tentative number that would be acceptable to them, which, with your permission, before we proceed, I will revise the.
Sir, then you've obviously read the report from city planning. So if you'd like to go, we have one other person registered to speak. So if you could,
Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
If you could give the committee a, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Wills?
Yeah, the local resident by the name of Jean Chun is not present on the call at this time. No one is registered under that name on the call.
Okay, so we'll cross him off the list. Okay, Mr. Tusi, it's just you here now. So I suggest, though, sir, if you want to proceed with your application and you don't want to reduce your front yard landscaping, if you could give us a presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal, especially in light of city planning's comments.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The owner has our client has purchased a property. I would say about 7-8 months ago, and they would like to do some relatively small renovation. If you look at the site plan, they're adding a garage on the ground floor. just creating a better foyer at the front. It is relatively small renovation if you look at it and compare it to other projects that typically gets proposed. If we can get a side plan, that would help to explain. Yes. So if you look at the front right side of the screen, that's the addition, which is the garage and some sort of a mudroom, and then the front of the house, which where the porch is, to some extent, it is explaining that they just want some sort of entrance so they don't just jump into the house. So everything else is existing, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee, and that includes that includes the that includes the let me bring in the. So obviously things inside are changing, but in terms of the envelope of the house, is those are what we're changing, and obviously the roof is going slightly higher as well. But everything else, especially the front of the house, is existing, and that includes the existing condition of landscaping. We talked with planning, and they confirmed that since 2007, I believe, since 2007, according to planning, they know that this existing condition of the existing landscape has been there and is existing. And our plan, or our hope, if you will, is to not to change that, and we pass that to the planning. So we're not making anything worse than what it is, and we are basically asking for the approval of the existing condition. Having said that, obviously our clients, with the COVID and everything being extremely slow, the cost of carrying a mortgage, they wish to do everything they can to receive an approval from committee. So in my view, as an architect, licensed architect, doing this for about 20 years, I think, the fact that this is not a major change of the the structure, in a sense of how it has been looking and how it's been sitting and fitting in the neighborhood, I would say the existing owner should be able to allow to keep the existing condition of the house. Having said that, we could work around that and try to add some landscaping to satisfy this committee if that is a concern to you, and try to maybe eliminate the number 2 variance, and also increase the landscape, and make the condition of the 3rd variance better, which relates to the soft landscaping. And that basically concludes my presentation. If there's any question, I would be happy to answer.
Yes, sir. Can I ask you, what's the purpose of having so much of the front yard as landscaping? I mean, I was up there, I looked at the other properties on the street, and to be honest, this property is a real outlier when it comes to the neighborhood. Yes, a lot of them have circular driveways, but nothing has to the extent where nearly the entire front yard is hard surface. What's the point of having so much hard surface in the front yard?
Mr. Chair, to your point, my client is not proposing to do anything to the land. So the goal was they purchase a property and they just want to spend money where they need to spend money. And the idea is not really to turn grass into more landscape. But with your permission, Mr. Chair, just to address that and make sure this is very reasonable, the changes that we could confirm with the owner and with the planning that we could do is to eliminate the variance number 2, which relates to the general landscaping. So if I can officially request to change the number of variances and eliminate the variance number 2, which relates
Just a moment. Are you proposing to make a change to your application?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yes, Mr.
So
Chair.
you're proposing to delete variance number 2?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I also propose to...
Which is the existing front yard landscaping area is 23.73%.
Yes, we will be eliminating that, and that means we'll be adding grass area. We'll be doing extra construction work, removing some of the landscape, some of the interlocking at the front of the house, and replacing that with landscaping. So we're eliminating variance number 2.
Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt, but my variance number 2 talks about the side yard setback.
No, variance
and not
number 2
landscaping.
relates to front yard landscaping. Their variance, the way it reads now, it says the variance they're requesting is that the existing front yard landscaping area is 23.73%, and they want to eliminate that variance. They want to comply with the bylaw.
Okay.
But they'd
Yes, you're correct, Mr. Chair.
1, 3, and 4.
You are correct, Mr. Chair. So we're eliminating variance number 2, which you can see on the screen, which is chapter 10.550.10. As we have it on the screen right now, we're eliminating variance number 2. And for the variance number 3, once we add more grass, the number will change. The variance number 3 is going to get modified. The variance number 3 will be modified.
Yeah.
Well,
My question will be how much it will be increased? Right now you have 32.73%. So what it will increase to?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, the number will increase to 60.
So can I ask, sir, if you're eliminating that variance, can you try and illuminate the committee on what that makes the front yard look like? How much of the hard surface will have to be removed?
About the difference between 23% and 60%, which is about 37%.
So
We're gonna get it to 60% so that the whole variance can be removed, and we will be meeting the bylaw for the amount of landscape required.
Okay, I'm a little skeptical on what's being achieved here because I can't visualize it on the plan. I just get the impression that you're deleting the hard surface aspect of it, but I don't know how much soft landscaping will be introduced. But it's a
I have the exact percentage, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so the requirement for the soft, so the variance number 3 will change. The minimum required is 75%. And what we are proposing will be 60%. So what we are proposing is 60. So the variance number 3 is going to get improved, like double the amount of soft landscaping basically we have. It's going to be 60%. So the deficit between the permitted by law is only 15%, which is very reasonable of a typical submission you receive that has only 15% less landscaping than what the bylaw requires.
Okay. Well, any further questions of the speaker? Can I get a motion on this application, please? This revised application. Please note that variance number 2, the existing front yard landscaping area is 23.73% has been deleted. Just variance number 1, 3, and 4 are. He's changed that too? Okay, let me, I'm sorry. Sir, can you confirm variance number 3, you're changing that too?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yes,
So
Mr. Chair.
It's going from what to what? 32.7, it's 32.73% now. You're increasing it to which?
60%, 60.
60, okay. All right then, so.
That's the 15% I was referring.
My mistake. Thank you, Ms. Kodas. So variance number 1 stays the same. Variance 2 is deleted. Variance number 3, the existing front yard landscaping is 32.73% is being increased to 60%. And the proposed building height is 9.8 meters. That variance doesn't change. So if I could get a motion on the revised application, please.
Can I make a motion?
Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to put forward a proposal to accept the application as amended. Variance number 2 to be eliminated, and variance number 3 to be amended to read the existing front yard soft landscaping area change from 32.73% to 60%, and without further conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second Mr. Kidd's motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your revised application has been unanimously approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members have a great day.
Thank you. Item number 27, 38 Plymbridge Crescent. I have 3 people registered to speak. The agent is a Graham Barrett. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committee members.
Yes, hi, Mr. Barrett. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, sir. Graham Barrett, 1575 Dundas Street West, Toronto.
Okay, thank you, sir. Before we start, there's, going through your file, I noticed there's a report from TRCA dated the Toronto Region Conservation Authority dated the 18th of February. They have no objection to your report, to your application. There's a report from City Planning dated the 17th of February. They're recommending that the following variances be refused. Variance number 8 regarding the maximum width for access to the required parking space. Variance number 9 regarding front yard landscaping. And variance number 10 regarding front yard soft landscaping. And they also are recommending eliminating variance number 6 regarding the number of stories as it is not required. If committee should choose to approve the application, planning staff recommend that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the building length as shown on the site plan drawing attached to this report. There's also another report from Transportation Services dated the 18th of February, indicating they have no objections provided that you reduce the driveway width to a maximum of 6 meters in the public right-of-way, and then there's add a notation to the site plan basically to remove existing driveways and restore them. So have you had the opportunity to review those reports, sir?
Yes, I have. The concerns from planning staff, we've attempted to address them. I sent in a cover letter and an updated site plan in my presentation materials outlining that. So those variances would be changing slightly. We've reduced the driveway width in a few places.
Sir, before you start, if you're proposing to change your application, if you could tell the committee what changes you want to make up front?
Yes, absolutely. Variance number 8, which is minimum width for access to required parking area. Proposed was 7.86. It's been reduced to 7.47. And the purpose of which is to provide access to a 3-car garage.
Okay.
Variance number 9 is being removed. 50.3% of the front yard area will now be landscaping. And variance number 10 required soft landscaping, 75%. Proposed was 42.3%. It has been improved to 57.9%.
Okay.
And to address
okay, let me just confirm what the changes are. Variance number 8, the proposed access to parking is 7.86 meters wide. That's being increased to 7.7 meters wide.
I'm sorry, reduced to 7.47.
7.47 meters. Variance number 9 is deleted. That was a front yard landscaping variance. Variance number 10, the proposed soft front yard landscaping is 42.3%, and that increases to 57.9%. Have I got those correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you could give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Sure. I'd also like to mention, to address Transportation Services comment, the driveway width in the boulevard has been reduced to 6 meters as well.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So that has been addressed. So yes, here to request several variances from the zoning bylaw to permit construction of a new 2-story single-family dwelling. We are aware of the letters of opposition and some concerns. There are also some concerns from Ravine and Natural Feature Protection, which were emailed to me the other day. However, I've been instructed by the owner to proceed with the application as is, and to let it be known that under no circumstances does he want this matter to be deferred. So I must respectfully ask that this be heard and decided upon today. Staff did have concerns regarding the front landscaping and driveway width, which I mentioned have been rectified to the best of our ability. Staff still said they had some concerns, but these variances are required to accommodate a 3-car garage, which is an important feature that the owner wanted for this home. I have read the letters of opposition from some of the neighbors, and I do sympathize with their concerns. This design is what the owner wants to build on his property, and he's given it a lot of thought, and this is the course of action he'd like to take. Planning staff have no concerns about the dwelling itself, rather just the front yard configuration and the landscaping. And as I mentioned, we've tried to fix those as best as possible. These variances are very much in keeping with past approvals in the immediate area, and I've provided a few spreadsheets in my supporting material. You can see there are quite a few building length variances greater than that which is being proposed. We also have lot coverage variances that are greater in the area. Same for height and so on. Everything that's highlighted on those spreadsheets in green are the same maximum as us, but have been approved at greater amounts. Beyond that, I can go through each variance if you'd like, or I can answer any questions that you have. But this is the proposal that the owner would like to move forward with, and we believe it passes the 4 tests. And thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker?
I mostly couldn't hear.
Oh, Mr. Khan.
Mr. Chair, thank you. With regret to the applicant, I mean, I couldn't hear him most of the time, what he was saying. So I apologize that voice was inaudible. So I'm sorry about that, but I don't know what he was saying.
Is this a technical problem on my end, or could everybody hear me?
Now is okay. Yes, speak like that.
Mr. Barrett, I think from the standpoint, everyone but Mr. Khan was able to understand what you had to say.
Okay, I can run through it again if you'd like.
I don't, well, if you'd like to repeat it again, just the salient points, you don't have to go through the whole thing again.
Sure. So this is a new 2-story single-family dwelling. We're aware of the concerns and the letters of opposition. We'd like to proceed today. We've made adjustments to the front yard landscaping and the driveway width to address planning and transportation concerns. We've done the best we can there, and the reasoning being to accommodate access to a 3-car garage. Planning staff have no concerns about the dwelling itself, just the front yard configuration. They had indicated via email they were not in favor of a 3-car garage actually, but there's no variance for that. So it's the front yard seems to be the issue. And again, there are many approvals in the area that are comparable.
Yeah, and I wanted to
Would you like me to
emphasize
repeat it?
that issue with the driveway width, that's on private property, correct? It's not in the municipal road allowance. The width.
Transportation had an issue with the driveway width on city property. They wanted it to be no more than 6 meters, and that has been done.
Okay.
And it's shown on the site plan.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll move to the next person on the list. I have Shadi Arani. Are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
My name is Shadi Arani. The address is 36 Plymbridge Crescent.
Okay, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm the neighbor immediate to the west of this property, and I'm here to request that you deny the proposed variances to the length and the area of the balcony. Our new house immediately to the west is currently under construction, a brand new house with a length of 17.3 meters. As the architect of the house, I appeared in front of you and I requested a minor variance for length for 0.5 meter, a true minor variance. Unfortunately, the house is not shown on the site plan which was submitted to you by the applicant, but was included in the refusal notice that was submitted by York Mills Valley Association. With the requested length of 23.47 meters, which is an addition of 6.67 meters to the allowable, or a 39% increase to the allowable length. I don't believe in any way this length is minor in nature, and as you can see by all the refusal notices that you've received, requests that you've received, it's not desirable by any of the neighbors around. The proposed increased building length would position the rear wall of the new house 6 meters beyond the rear wall of our house. On the long portion, and on the shorter portion, it would be 4 meters. The proposed length would overshadow our property, will affect the morning sun, both in the winter and summer. The owner asked the designer to do a shadow study, which they shared with us, but I believe because it was not favorable to them, they didn't share it with you. Another issue is privacy. The proposed length and also the proposed large second floor balcony, which has the area of 11.6 square meters, will create direct overlooking into our property. unfortunately, even adding screening, opaque screening, will just become another element that would create more shadow on our property. So I respectfully reached out to the neighbor and copied Mr. Barrett, the applicant, and asked them to reduce the length at least on the west side by 2 meters, so it would have less of an impact. Still an impact, but less of an impact. But unfortunately, I did not hear anything back, would not get any conclusion. I received no communication from Mr. Barrett, only from the neighbor saying he will look into it, and then there was nothing after that. And my other concern is also that if this length gets approved, there is no guarantee that the owner would not build on the rest of the allowable area, which would be for the length that is approved, because right now you see a drop. While all the other requested variances would still impact us, the side yard setback would still impact us, but we are okay with them as long as this length issue is resolved, because it will impact our property in terms of privacy and also the overshadowing, which is the biggest issue. So I request to Mr. Chairman and members of the committee to refuse the length variance. And we have no objection to the other variances. Unfortunately, since we did not receive any correspondence from the owner nor from the applicant, I don't think they're willing to cooperate in any way. So I'm just reaching out to you. This requested length, 39% extra, is not minor and is not favorable to the development of the land. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next person on our list. I have an Alan Blott. Are you there, sir?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Blott, can you give us your full name and address, please?
Yes, my full name is Alan Blott, and I currently reside at 19 Plymbridge Crescent, which would be right across the street from the proposed development that is on your agenda at this moment. And I'm only going to make a general observation, and my observation would be this. I would hope that the members of the committee would inspect the site that is under consideration and come away with the same impression that I did. The lady who just spoke is representing a monster house on a substantially larger lot, I assume, because the house is massive. And whatever they're trying to do at this particular, at 38 Plymbridge, to try and fit a reasonable dwelling on that, what looks like is a problem lot. It is simply a problem lot with the road widths and difficulties with access. And so if they're able to accommodate a reasonable house on that very difficult lot, I think the committee should do what it can to accommodate them. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Are there
very
any
much.
questions?
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to Mr. Barrett. Mr. Barrett, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am here.
Yes, Mr. Barrett, before you start responding to the concerns, I just wanted to, there was a comment in the city planning report. You're asking for a variance relating to the number of stories. And planning was indicating, hang on, I believe it was, yeah, planning was indicating that variance number 6, the maximum permitted number of stories is 1.5 and the proposed number of stories is 2. And they indicated you don't need variance number 6. It's not required. Is that correct?
Yes, well, that's what planning has said, but it is on our zoning notice.
Okay, so I just wanted to confirm that. So variance number 6 can be deleted.
I mean, if planning is correct and zoning is wrong, then I suppose so. But the zoning notice says quite clearly the maximum permitted number.
Just to be on the safe side, sir, we won't touch that one. So it's been identified, I presume. Did you do this on a waiver or did you do it through A zoning review.
No, this was done with a proper zoning review.
Okay, so then let's just leave it the way it is, though. Planning might be wrong, so we'll just leave it. If you could respond to the previous speakers then.
Right. Well, I do appreciate the last speaker's words because I believe he's correct. This is a bit of a difficult lot to work with. Compared to the neighboring dwelling, it's quite narrow. And he is not incorrect that the neighboring dwelling is massive. So to fit a house of a suitable size for this area and for the desires of the owner, going for building length is the way to make it work here without trying to push, perhaps into a third story or something along those lines. The neighbor's concerns about building length, I agree the number seems high, but this is a corner lot. The curvature of the street is such that the longer portion of the home will be pushed out further, and that is on the street side, the opposite side of the neighbor to the west. The area closer to their home, the house is 21.26 meters plus another 2, and there's a patio and such there. But in the context of this lot being the shape that it is, we believe these variances are appropriate.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this revised application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Looking at this, and despite the changes that were made by the applicant here today to try to address the planning's staff report, when I look at this individually and cumulatively, despite the type of lot it is, and just hearing the testimonies from the applicants, I believe that this is not minor. And I don't believe it meets the characteristic of the neighborhood. So as such, my decision is to refuse this application altogether. That's my motion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sankar. Can I have someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously refused. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Item number 28, 115 Glendora Avenue. I have one person registered to speak, a Sanaz Nouri. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, madam. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Sanaz Nouri, and I'm the agent representing this project on behalf of the owner.
Okay, thank you,
And
madam.
my address.
We have 3 variances before us today. I note that there are no staff comments or conditions attached to your report. Just going to ask, it's pretty clear I think the committee's pretty clear on what you're asking for. Is there anything you'd like to add that is not in the material that the committee has before us today?
No, I believe it's a pretty straightforward application.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Can I get a motion on this application? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. It's a straightforward minor variance application which complies with the zoning bylaws. So I move the motion that this application be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that?
Second.
Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of committee.
Thank you. Item number 29, 494 Sudan Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Eric Hayden. Mr. Hayden, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon.
Yes, Mr. Hayden. I just wanted to mention. I noticed on one of the variances, I think it was variance number 7, I think it's a typo. It says, go down onto the third line, it says, duplex erected before October 15th, 2953. I think that date's incorrect. Should that be 1953?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Okay,
it's
all right.
1950.
Just want to make sure we were dealing with some kind of time tunnel here. So it's the only comments we have from city staff is from urban forestry, and it's a recommended condition. I'm just going to ask what you're asking for. So it's I think, very clear to the committee. I'm just going to ask, is there anything that you'd like to add that isn't in the file that we have before us today?
Just one small thing I'd like to note is that this property is a part of a semi-detached with the neighbor at 492 Sudan, which we had previously represented on August 20th at the Committee of Adjustment. And essentially what we are proposing today is exactly a mirror image of that house to maintain the harmony of and consistency of the semi-detached dwellings.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Can I get a motion on this application, please?
Ron Hunt. Yes, based on the testimony of the applicant and the February 4th letter from the party wall neighbor who's fully supportive of the changes and subject to the February 12th urban forestry policies, I would move approval of this.
Someone to second Mr. Hunt's motion? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Item number 30, 338 Belsize Drive. I have two people registered to speak. The agent is Mehran Haidari. Are you there?
Good afternoon. Yes, this is Mehran Haidari.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please, sir?
My name is Mehran Haidari, 1090 Dunmays Road, Unit 506, PMP Design Group.
Okay, thank you, sir. I wanted to, there's a report from City Planning attached to your file, dated the 2nd of February. They recommend that approval of this application be subject to constructing the driveway using permeable materials. I also note that there's a transportation services report from the 11th of February. They have no objection to your application. Urban Forestry, however, is recommending refusal. They indicate that you're may have to take out a tree that exists in the Belsize Drive road allowance. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sir, are you there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I already wrote this report, and I can answer about the concern too.
Okay, so let me be clear. You are removing this city-owned tree in the road allowance?
No, actually the urban forestry requesting the refusal or recommendation, if you see the recommendation, because they believe that we cannot get the injury application, but based on our observation, there is the 15471 location of the tree. Beside the tree, we have the driveway already. We are gonna use the same driveway. We are not adding up the driveway or digging the driveway location. For this reason, we can get the injury application, and we can go to the city and go to the route explanation, and this is something that we can deal with the urban policy if you approve with the condition of the urban policy clearance letter.
Okay, sir. You understand you understand the risk going forward that urban forestry can deny you permission to remove that tree, and you'd have to go back before city council.
Of course, and we are not going to get the removal. the tree is a good tree and we are keeping the tree for the house is good and for the neighborhood is good, and we respect the city's trees.
Okay, thank you. Pretty clear what you're asking for in the variances, sir. I'm just going to ask the committee if it has any questions or comments. There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please?
Mr. Chair, there is someone that wants to speak
I'm
against
sorry,
this file.
my mistake. Thank you, Mr. Wills. We have, is there any questions of the speaker? There being none, we have a deputant, Lai Wang. Are you there? Lai Wang, are you there?
Mr. Chair, they are present and they are unmuted, so if they'd like to speak, now is their opportunity to do so.
Lai Wang, are you there? Hello? Lai Wang, are you there? Lai Wang, are you there? One more time, and then we'll have to cut you off. Lai Wang, are you there?
Mr. Chair, let's consider trying, have a second name here, Jessica Wang.
Okay. Well,
maybe that would help. If Jessica Wang is present and like to speak, now is your opportunity. If you do not like to speak, please say so as much as well.
Jessica Wang, are you there?
Oh, hi, I'm here. Sorry. I was just
Can I get your
on
full
my
name
work
and
as well.
address, please?
Yeah, it's Lei Wan 336 Belsize Drive, Toronto, Ontario, M4S101.
Okay, please proceed.
Just listening in, and so far I don't have any concerns, except for the trees. Just want to know. I just want to know how they're gonna deal with that trees.
Okay, so you have no concerns with the application?
So far, no.
Okay, thank you, madam. Any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you. We'll go back to Mr. Haddari. Sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. There were no comments from the no comments in your application from the previous speaker, so I'll just ask the committee one more time if it has any questions of the applicant. There being none, could I get a motion on the application, please? Please note that the only condition on this recommended condition is from urban forestry. Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I'll put forward a motion to therefore approve this application. Of course, I will make it subject to forestry, as well as I believe that there is, a condition about the permeable materials being used.
Yes, you're correct. My mistake. Thank you,
Right.
Ms. Sankar. That's
So
the
the-
city planning's report.
Right, so I'd just like to make it subject to that February 2nd report that permeable materials be used for the proposed driveway, and that's my motion.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion?
I second.
Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Sir, your application's been approved, subject to city planning and urban forestry conditions. Thank you very much.
Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. Item number 31, 93 Three Valleys Drive. I have two people registered to speak. One is the agent of Bogdan George Lucas. Are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Hello.
Thanks, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Bogdan George Lucas, and the address is 93 Village Drive. I'm the owner of the house.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you could give the committee I noticed that there are no recommended staff conditions or comments attached to your file. So if you could give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Yes, so we're trying to kind of bring the house to the new standards, a garage and a foyer, nothing else. And also we're gonna refresh and improve the isolation of the house in order to make the house better for the usage of the electricity and heating and everything. Also, as we propose the plan, when we work with the architect and everything, we talk to the neighbors and everything, so they have nothing against the plan and the project.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to note, I was up to see the site, and this is what looks like it's one of the few buildings on that section of street that actually has a carport. Is that correct?
Yes, my neighbor from the right side, they had a carport, but they closed it, and I think I'm the only one who still has it on.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to the next person on the list. We have Juan Rico. Are you there?
I am.
Yes, Mr. Rico, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
Juan Rico, 61 Lacewood Crescent.
Okay, if you could give us your thoughts on the application?
I just have a question. Well, there are a lot of houses around these blocks that we have carports. So carports are very common, just as a comment. But my question is, what is the use of the new patio roof? What would be the purpose of building that?
Okay, well, we'll ask the applicant to address that when he comes back. How is that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to Mr. Lucas. Mr. Lucas, you heard the comment, the question from Mr. Rico. If you could address that, please.
Yes, as it's just to keep the line for the roof, because as we're gonna take out the carport and we're gonna put the flat roof, we're gonna continue with the roof in the back. So it's kind of like to have an area you can see it also when it's raining, nothing else, right? Plus, right now over there, we have an old, almost 20 years old shed, and that's gonna get removed. So that's gonna clean the area more. And when we purchased the house almost 1.5 years ago, we had rats and other things under the shed. So I think it's even gonna be better for the neighborhood, from the animal and the pest control.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. It's a very simple variance and application. It's a minor in nature, therefore I would like to move it. It should be approved.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Khan to approve the application. Someone to second that? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Item number 32, 19 Plymbridge Crescent. I have 3 people registered to speak. And one of them is an agent, Bill Oted. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my full name is Bill Outred, and my address is 2140 Winston Park Drive, Oakville, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have 3 reports from staff here, including one letter from the area councillor. The Toronto Region Conservation Authority reported the 11th of February has no objections to your application. City Planning, in their report of the 17th of February, however, is recommending that your application be refused. And Heritage Toronto, in their report of the 25th of February, is recommending deferral to allow staff time to review the issue of heritage value. And Councillor Robertson, in her letter, is recommending the application be refused. Now, if I could ask, sir, would you like to defer your application to discuss with Heritage TO and City Planning?
Yes, thank you. Yesterday, I think we were going forward until I saw that letter from Heritage. Based on the letter from Heritage, I don't think we have a choice but to request a deferral today and see if we can confirm with Heritage where this is going to be going. Otherwise, I think we're wasting our time today. So yes, I would like to request a deferral, Cy and Die.
Thank you, sir. I'll just, does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you. I just have to go to the other people on our list. I have an Alan Blott. Are you there, sir? Alan Blott.
And yes, I'm here.
Yes, Mr. Blott, I know you've given us your name and address. If you could give it to us again, please.
Yes, it's Alan Blott, 19 Plymbridge Crescent, Toronto, M2P 1P3.
Okay, thank you, sir. The applicant is requesting a deferral in order to discuss his application with city staff, especially Heritage Toronto. Do you have an objection to that?
No, none whatsoever.
Thank you. I have the next person on the list is Jean Sebastien. Are you there? Jean Sebastien?
Mr. Chair and members, they are not present on the call.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wills. Okay, thank you. Committee, if I could get a motion on the deferral request, please. Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move this application be deferred, signed die.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries. So your application's been adjourned to the next available meeting so that you can meet with City Planning and Heritage Toronto. Good luck, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Item number 33 we dealt with. Item number 34. Did I miss something? Actually, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a 5-minute break. I'm sorry. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, committee's back in session. We are now on item number 34, 24 Heddington Avenue. $34, correct? 30, what's that? Okay, item number 34, 24 Heddington Avenue. I have 4 people registered to speak. And the agent is Craig Hepburn. Are you there?
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, hello, sir. If I could get your full name and address, please, sir.
My name is Craig Hepburn. My address is 138 Cheltenham Avenue in Toronto.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you could, we have 3 other people registered to speak on this application. If you could give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal. I note, sir, that there are no staff comments or conditions that have been recommended by the municipality. So if you could give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Certainly. Thank you for taking the time to hear our application. These variances are in regards to a proposed new build 2-story single family home with an integral at-grade garage. I'd like to note that there was a previous application for this property in front of the committee on August 29th, 2019 for a 3rd floor addition within the existing building footprint. That application asked for an FSI variance of 0.91, which was denied. At this time, I'd like to comment briefly on the individual variances in front of us. Variances 1 and 6 are related to the platform height. The height of the front porch is established in part by the design around the integral garage. These variances are 2 centimeters and 5 centimeters respectively, which we believe to be minor. Variants 2, 3, and 8 are related to the side lot setback. These variances are all in regards to the north side lot setback. The design of the home has endeavored to minimize the building width as much as possible. However, the minimum building code requirements for the garage width, staircase, and powder room on the main floor have triggered the side yard variance. The new proposed building is to be situated with the required setbacks on the south side, and the north side requires a minor variance. Please note that the building would in fact be 24 centimeters further away from the north lot line than the current existing structure is. The proposed design has no windows or openings on the north elevation to respect the neighbor's privacy. Variance 5 is related to the exterior side walls. This variance only applies to one 6-foot-long dormer section for the 2nd-story bedroom window. It has been located to ensure that there is no overlap of windows on the adjacent property. Variance 7 is in regards to the FSI. Heddington and the adjacent streets to the east and west, namely Shields, Castlewood, and Latimer, are experiencing a period of regeneration. A recent drive through the neighborhood identified well over 30 new builds on similarly sized lots, which have incorporated integral garages and similar home designs. Pictures of these properties were provided in a supporting document. Information provided by the city identified 25 2-story new homes within a 500-meter radius of the subject property that were granted FSI variances with an average of 0.815. Also, 19 of these properties were granted side yard setback variances with an average of 0.5 meters. Understanding that the committee does not use precedent, we do believe that this proposal is consistent with and appropriate for the development of this neighborhood. Variance 9 related to the rear deck. We believe that the zoning interpretation is incorrect, given that the actual deck is set back 0.91 meters from the north side lot line, as indicated on the site plan and first floor drawings. And finally, variance 4 related to the building height. We believe that this height variance is a rounding error and minor in nature. It's only 1 centimeters. We believe that this application meets the 4 criteria, and we thank the committee for their time and consideration. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the agent, you mentioned that this had been before the Committee of Adjustment on August 29th of 2019, and it had been rejected principally on concerns that had been expressed about the number of rooms and the configuration and the potential for it becoming a multifamily structure. How does this application differ that would address those kinds of concerns?
Yeah, so myself and the owners are unsure what those concerns were founded on. The request that I have been given from the owners and that we have followed at every point is to construct a single family home. The previous application was to do that by adding an extra 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor. But it has never been or is considered to be anything other than a single family home. The same is absolutely true for this new application. It has, a single entrance on the main floor plus an entrance from the garage. There are 4 bedrooms on the 2nd floor with an ensuite bathroom and 2 bathrooms serving the bedrooms. These are typical of new builds that we are currently constructing on other projects in the neighborhood. There has never been any indication from my client or from the drawings that this is anything other than a single family home.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Well,
Committee
just a
has one other
follow-up.
question to the speaker. Oh, Mr. Hunt, did you have a follow-up question?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I just, the way I had read the 2019 decision and the application before us, that there was no change in the number of bedrooms nor the change in the number of bathrooms. And I'm just wondering, how many of the bathrooms have en suites?
Yeah, so the principal bedroom has an ensuite, and one of the other bedrooms has its own separate ensuite. And then there is a 3rd bathroom that is shared between 2 of the other bedrooms. This is consistent with new builds that we have done in North Toronto. It's a very common request that we're getting from our clients to have ensuite bathrooms. But I want to be perfectly clear with everyone that there is no intent for this to be anything other than a single family home. And to this date, I'm still unsure what basis the complainants are basing this.
Okay, thank you.
I have one. Yes, I do. I recall from that day, they spoke about the basement being separated with an ensuite sort of kitchen and separate entrance and separate bathroom, etc. I just wanted you to comment on that. What does the basement look like?
Yeah, so there was no separate basement entrance on the previous application. This basement has a family room, a gym, and there is a 3-piece bathroom in the basement. There is not a separate outside entrance. There's an entrance through the garage, which is another common feature that we incorporate into our new home designs. And there is no partitioning anywhere within the building that would be used or could be used or would be intended to be used to separate this into separate units. It has always been intended as a single family home and is designed as such.
So there's no kitchen in the basement?
Absolutely not. No, we're not zoned for multi-units in this area, and that is not our request or our intent.
Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none. Oh, Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. I would like to draw the attention of the applicant towards variance number 8. His FSI is 0.81, which far exceeds the allowable 0.6.
So, sir, if you could explain the rationale for your FSI of 0.81?
Being configured to minimize the setbacks as much as we possibly can, while still meeting the needs of our clients, which was to have 4 bedrooms to accommodate the family. Only on the north side, which will be an improvement from the existing conditions, is there a setback request. Reviews of the neighborhood, extensive reviews, have been done to ensure that the proposed design is consistent with the ongoing new build developments. During our previous application, the planning had recommended an FSI of 0.85, which we've tried and I believe succeeded to put together a proposal here, which is well below that recommendation from planning. So, we're asking for anything beyond what has already been granted on numerous occasions and in the immediate neighborhood.
Okay,
But sir, you have to remember that you are 26% more than the maximum allowable. So you should keep that in mind.
Thank you. It's certainly largely driven by the building requirements that we need to incorporate the integral garage, the staircase on the first floor, and the powder room. But certainly, it's not our intent, and I don't believe it's something that we are presenting that is a massing house that's inconsistent with what has been granted and is being constructed in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to the next person on our list. I have a Marla Mitchell. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Mitchell.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, thanks.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
Sure, it's Marla Mitchell, and I live at 32 Haddington Avenue in Toronto. I am 2 doors north of the proposed new build.
Madam, if you could, please, could you speak up? It's very hard to hear you.
Sure, is that better? I'm just going to adjust my volume.
Much better. If you could just give us your thoughts
Okay.
on this application.
Sure. I wrote a letter just because I had a couple of thoughts. The concern is 0.8 in the variances. We consider this to be more of a major variance than a minor one. As Mr. Khan just mentioned, 26% greater than the allowable bylaw for the floor space is concerning for us. There are no other new builds on this part of the block on either the east or the west side of the street in the immediate area that this could be modeled against. Having a house that's that much bigger is a concern. It's not in the integrity of this part of the street. As a result, we're concerned that 26%, as Mr. Khan noted, is more than minor. It's a major variance, and you can see by my letter that you've got up on the screen now that it is a concern. There's a couple of other points. I'm going to be very brief. Section 51 of the Planning Act and Subdivision of Land, we're concerned about the adequacies of the utilities and the municipal services. The street has the homes are generally from 1926, so they're 94 years old. We're not sure that the water and waste of a house with 5 washrooms, a kitchen, and a laundry will be able to be tolerated by the infrastructure. The original rejected application in 2019, August 29th, included the same 5 washrooms, a kitchen, and a laundry. It's no different than today's application. So respectfully asking, if it's no different, what is the basis for approval? The other points I would consider minor, and I think one of the neighbors wants to also speak, so I will keep it brief, but of concern is the or the size being 26% more. And does this then set a precedent for the area if it's approved?
Okay, thank you, Madam. Just to be aware, the Committee of Adjustment doesn't deal with precedents when we make a decision. Each application has to stand or fall on its own merits.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the speaker? We'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Michael Lipinski. Are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, Michael is not present on the call at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Wills. Next person on the list is Dimitra Servas. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Madam,
Can you
I
hear
get
me
your
all
full
right?
name and address, please?
Dimitra Zervas, 20 Haddington Avenue, Toronto, Ontario.
Yes, madam. If you could give us your thoughts on this application?
So I am the neighbor immediately south to the proposed new build. And I'm very concerned with the floor space index, just as Ms. Mitchell and Mr. Khan have both pointed out. The FSI is 0.81. It's 26% greater. It's a large variance, not a minor variance. The house, the proposed new build encroaches on the north side, and on the back as well. So this is a much larger home that's being built. The new building, the location of the new building is actually much closer to my property. It is approximately 3 feet away from my property line, which it concerns me. First of all, if you're on the second floor of the new building, there's no privacy on my property at all, because the back of the home goes so far beyond my home. So you can see right down. As well, the height of the new of the walls. So now I'm talking about the height of the exterior walls. They're almost 2 feet higher than the required max. And so again, it adds to my concern around privacy on my property. I'm concerned about my foundation with the digging. 3 feet is not very far. I'm concerned that they have to access my property to get on their property. The other thing I want to make clear is I understand that, we're being told that this is for a new single family dwelling. That house has been empty, and there is one person who occasionally is in and out. So it is not a family living there right now.
Okay, thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to the agent. Mr. Hepburn, are you there, sir?
Yes, hello.
Yes, Mr. Hepburn, if you've heard the two previous speakers, if you would like to respond to their comments.
Yes, thank you. I mean, just to briefly reiterate that the surrounding streets and Heddington are areas that are undergoing sort of regeneration with new builds in the area, largely to support the Eglinton Crosstown. With regards to the neighbors' comments on the south, the windows have been located at the front, and this is only for a second-story window for the bedroom. The height variance with regards to this is only for that small dormer section, a 6-foot section of the roof. The balance of the roof is within the zoning requirements. With regards to the foundation, this is something that would very definitely be addressed during the building department to ensure that the surrounding properties are properly and adequately protected during construction.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just had one question. You don't require any variances for building length or building depth, am I correct?
That is absolutely correct, yes.
Okay, yeah, you comply with the bylaw in that regard.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application? Please note that there are no recommended staff conditions. Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After listening to the agent as well as the people in opposition and having no staff recommendation, I find it a little difficult to compromise with variance number 8, which is floor space index of 0.81. And I think it is not a minor variance, it's a major variance, which is not consistent with the zoning bylaws as well as the official plan. Therefore, I would move this item to be refused.
Okay, Mr. Khan has a motion to refuse the application. If someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, can I clarify? Is he refusing the entire application or is he
Well,
refusing
I'll
number
ask.
8?
Mr. Khan, are you recommending refusing the entire application?
Yes, sir, entire application.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Khan's recommending refusing the entire application. Mr. Hunt seconded it. All those in favor? Opposed? And we have a tie, and I won't support that motion, so can we get another motion?
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair, you know, I recognize that this application had come before us a couple of years ago. At that time, I am not sure exactly what had transpired. I vaguely remember that, and I remember that there was sort of staff reports as well that accompanied or input at least from staff in that regard. And I vaguely remember there were a lot more speakers and it was convincing to a certain extent. Today before me, though, I look at this application, I've seen what it says on there. And I guess what I'm saying is that, you know, you can't look at precedents that was set before and what was happening before. I'm going to look at this application as if it's fresh, it just came to me. And looking at this, I feel that I accept the explanations provided by the applicant here today. So I'll motion to approve the application.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Kidd seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? We have a tie vote, and I'll support that Ms. Sankar's motion, so that motion carries. Sir, your application has been approved without condition. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 35, 19 Longhope Place. I have one person registered to speak. That is Nafisa Zangjiabadi, and I probably pronounced that incorrectly, but if, are you there? Hello, Nafisa Zangjiabadi, are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, the agent is present on the call and they are unmuted.
Okay,
So
so
if they want to go ahead and speak now, they'd be more than welcome to.
Nafisa Zangjiabadi, are you there? One more time and I'll have to hold you down to the end of the meeting. Okay, we'll move ahead to item number 36, 189 Livingston Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Eddie Perez. Are you there, sir? Mr. Perez, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good afternoon, committee members.
Yes, thank you.
Can you hear
Mr.
me?
And thank you, Mr. Perez.
Okay, thank you.
I note that we have 3 variances before us. It's pretty clear what you're asking for. The only recommended condition from staff is from urban forestry. I'm just going to ask, is there anything that you'd like to add or tell the committee that isn't contained in the file that we have before us this afternoon?
No, and I read the report from forestry. We're okay with it.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, can I get a motion on this application, please? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Khan, did you have a question?
Okay, sir, let us move with the motion.
Okay, if you'd like to move a motion, Mr. Khan, please proceed.
Well, sir, for me, variance number 1 and 3 do not comply with the zoning bylaws, and it is not a minor variance. So I would like to refuse.
Oh, you recommending the application be refused?
That's right, sir.
Okay, if you're going to recommend that the application be refused, sir, then we'll have to give the applicant the opportunity to address the committee and give his.
By all means.
Hello, good afternoon. I feel that this application meets the 4 tests, and there is many garages in the York area that are this size and even larger. And the variances are very minor in nature, and I feel that this application should be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Khan, you'd like to make a motion? All right, is there any questions of the speaker?
Well, sir, I'm ready for the motion, which I made it before, that variance number 1 of ancillary buildings setback 1.3 is much less than the required 6.0 meter. And variance number 3, ancillary building coverage is 16.7% of the lot area, and allowed is only 10%, which is the maximum. So therefore, these are not minor variances 1 and 3 for me, and I move that this application be refused.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion from Mr. Khan to refuse the application. Can I have someone to second that? I have no one to second that. Can I get another motion, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I noticed in the site visit that this is replacing an existing garage in rather poor condition. I feel that as a result, this can be considered the requested variances can be considered of a minor nature. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to the forestry condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Sir, your application's been approved subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. We'll go back to item number 35, which is 19 Longhope Place. I have.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, sorry, there was a problem with my microphone. I had to log out and log in again.
Okay, can I get your full name and address, please?
Nafisa Zangiabadi, and address is 30 Apple Orchard Path, Thornhill, Ontario, L3T3B6.
Okay, thank you, madam. Have you had the opportunity? The only comment we have is from Transportation Services. It's dated the 16th of February, and their report was recommending deferral, pardon me, to provide the 3 following issues, which was basically clarifications put on your site plan. Now,
yes, and we will. Yeah.
Would you like to defer the application, or would you like to proceed?
No, we want to proceed because we are not changing the driveway. Everything is existing as remain, and we are going to put that note on our drawings when we submit for the building permit. Driveway, garage, everything is existing. We are just adding a second story on top of the garage, and the 3 variances that we have is just because we are building exactly on top of the existing footprint.
Yes,
So-
I'm looking at the Transportation Services report of the 16th of February, and in the comment sections, they had 3 bullet points there of clarifications they wanted on the plan, which could be made a condition of approval rather than a need for a deferral. So you'd like to proceed?
Yes. I would like to proceed if you can put that condition on the application.
Okay, thank you. You have 3 variances before us, and I think it's pretty clear what you're asking for. I'll just ask, Madam, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the file that the committee has before us this afternoon? Madam, are you there?
Yes.
Is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't in the file that's before us this afternoon?
No, not exactly. It's a pretty straightforward application.
Okay.
And as I said, the variances are the result of building on top of the existing footprint.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll ask, can I get a motion on this application, Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I accept the application, and to me, it's well outlined as well what's happening. So I'll put forward a motion to approve the application, but I will make it subject to transportation's comments of the February 16th report, in that they require 3 additional supporting documents. And so I will make that conditional that it's approved so long as they can provide transportation what is needed to satisfy their requirements.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to the transportation services conditions 1, 2, and 3 in their comments section of February 16th. Thank you, Madam. Okay, we're in item number 37, 91 Heddington Avenue. I have 1 person registered to speak. That's a Michelle Moran. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, I do not have a Michelle Moran in the call. It should be noted that the agent, Michelle, did not officially register to be in the meeting, and my records do not show anybody else speaking for the file.
Really? Do we have an? Do we have an agent here for 91 Heddington Avenue? Okay.
This. Oh, hello. Yes. Hi.
Yes, hello. Can I
Sorry,
get your
my name's
name,
Cindy
madam?
McPhee. I'm the agent. Cindy McPhee from First Step Design. I am the agent. I'm the applicant. Yes.
Okay.
For
Can
Heddington.
I get your full name and address, please?
Cindy McPhee. Our office is located at 16600 Bayview Avenue, Suite 304, Newmarket, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, madam. I just wanted to ask if there's a report attached to your file from Transportation Services dated the 18th of February, indicating they have no objections to your application, provided the section of the driveway within the right-of-way, within the municipal road allowance is reduced to 3 meters in width. And I believe that you'd like to keep the existing double driveway configuration the way it is. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So if you could give the committee a brief presentation on what you see are the merits of your proposal.
I can do that. Thank you. The matter before you are 2 variances. One is for a floor space index increase to 0.86.
Could you be a little bit loud, please?
Yes, I will speak louder. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
The transportation report. The transportation report is asking us to reduce our existing 2-car driveway. We had sent in a letter to request that if this condition could be removed from our approval, we would appreciate that on a number of reasons. One reason would be the sorry. Do you know, could you let me know if the panel received the letter that we sent and it had dated on February 18th?
And it's probably here, madam, but we have a lot of letters. Hang on, do you know who is that particular person? Is that a cover letter?
That letter was included in the package there. It has the first step design logo on the at the top.
Yes, okay. So in that cover letter, we included some existing photos of the garage. The existing garage on the outside will not be changed. It will still look like a 2-car garage. We would appreciate to maintain the double wide driveway, to maintain the symmetry of that in front of the, oh, I see you're bringing up. Okay. We actually talked to the zoning examiner, and he said that because it was an existing double-car garage with no proposed exterior construction, that it did not meet the requirement of the change to the driveway. That was a zoning person. It was a different opinion.
Madam, if I could interrupt, but be that as it may.
Yeah.
I was up to see your site. I mean, the width of your
Okay.
driveway.
Yeah.
That's not unusual
Right.
in this section of street. Is that correct?
The width of it is only 5.6, which is not very wide.
Yeah.
You mean in
not
terms of
unusual.
size of it? Yeah,
One thing,
right, that's true.
Madam, one thing you may want to address the committee on is your recommended floor space index of 0.86 times.
Okay, it's kind of a technical item, because it's not being increased, because the way that they calculate the floor space index is they take the overall area and then they reduce it by 1 parking space. So because we're taking the overall area and taking away the 1 parking space, it's actually the same. So it's an existing non-conforming floor space index number of 0.86.
And that results because you're converting one part of the garage into habitable space.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Does the committee have, again, there's no other speakers on this application. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Kidd?
Yes, I have a question with regard to variance number 2, the width of the proposed parking space. 2.5 meters. How does how's the driver get out of the car after he's parked the car? That seems very, very narrow to me.
Okay, so this item was is the dimension is taken from just a small portion that happens at the front. They have an existing post within that space, so they drive past it, and then when they get past that 2.51, it actually widens to 2.92 meters wide. So in that cover letter on page 2, there's like a diagram of the floor plan that shows where the post is. It's basically right beside the garage door at the front of the garage. So the driver drives through the garage door, which the garage door measures 2.18 meters wide. Yes, here. Yeah, this is the diagram. Then when they pull through, there's a wider, the garage gets wider at the back. So where the word says garage, you can read the dimension 2.92 just above it.
I see that now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker?
Yes, sir.
On?
Thank you, sir. Although she has explained variance number 2, the width of the driveway, but anyhow, my question is related to variance number 1, which is FSI 0.86 times the lot, which is exceeding 0.62. That is 30% more. Please explain why you need that.
This proposal is for an interior alteration to an existing home. So the existing FSI of the house is the same. It's 0.861. So we are not increasing the outside of the home in any way. It's all interior. So the technical definition of the floor space index is this, that the house is the same size. So it's an existing house.
So the bottom
That's
line
been
is,
in our-
Madam, if I can summarize, is the exterior of the building stays the same.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd?
I accept the explanation provided by the agent. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Madam, your application has been approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 38, 344 DELORAINE Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's a Daniel Ferraro. Are you there, sir?
Mr. Chair and members, the actual person speaking will be Maha Tam, and they are present.
Okay, thank you. Hello, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Mahat Tam. I live at 344 DELORAINE Avenue in North York, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, madam. I just wanted to ask, we have, looking through your file, we have a couple of reports. There's a recommended condition from Urban Forestry, and there's a report from City Planning dated the 2nd of February. They appear to have no objections to your application, provided that the lot coverage of the dwelling is limited to less than 35.65% and the remaining 9.14% of the lot coverage allocated towards the rear deck and shed. So I think what they're doing is splitting up the coverage figure that you have in variance number 1. Have you had the opportunity to review those reports, madam?
No, actually, they were not provided to me.
Okay, okay, well, I just wanted to make you aware of that, but that was the condition from, recommended condition from City Planning, was that
Okay.
the dwelling be limited to less than 35.65% and the remaining 9.14% of the lot coverage allocated towards the rear deck and the shed. Now, I'll just go to the rear, let me just find this just a moment. I'm just going to read this to you, madam, since you haven't read the report. You should always go through your file before the committee date. The 44.79% lot coverage includes a new deck and an existing rear shed. To ensure that the additional lot coverage is for the deck and shed and not additional to the dwelling, staff recommend that the lot coverage for the dwelling be limited to no more than 35.65% and the remaining 9.14% allocated for the rear deck and the shed. I hope that clarifies that.
Okay, so then essentially we have 9.14% allocated to the shed and the deck. And so the size of the deck would essentially be whatever is less the size of the existing shed?
Yeah, and I take it that's taken from your, that must be taken from your plans.
Yes, I would think so.
All right. I'm just going to, we have no other persons registered to speak on this application. Is there anything you'd like to tell the committee, madam, that isn't in the file that the committee has before it this afternoon?
No, I don't think there is anything
Okay, thank
further.
you, madam. Any questions of the speaker? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I will motion, given the clarification provided by the staff report, I'll motion to approve this application. I'll make it subject to forestry and subject to the February 2nd staff report in which they applied the condition about how to make up that full coverage, wherein the lot coverage for the dwelling be limited to less than 35.65% and the remaining 9.14% of the lot coverage will be allocated toward the rear deck and shed. That's
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion. Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to city planning and urban forestry conditions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Item number 39, 313 Belsize Drive. I have 5 people registered to speak. The owner is Andre Matusevich. Are you there?
I'm here. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Matusevich. I note in your file that there are no staff comments or conditions registered against your property, but we do have other people who appear to have concerns with your application. So if you could give us give the committee a presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the committee. Andre Matusevich, 313 Belsize Drive. We are looking to build a modest rectangular deck that will allow our young family of 4 some extra space to safely enjoy the outside. We have a 3-year-old daughter who has a severe grass allergy, and the deck would help limit her risk of exposure. The deck that we're proposing is very different from the one that the previous owner had built without a permit, had failed to legitimize, and which ultimately had been removed. As our deck has completely different design, dimensions, and types of variances, we trust that it will be evaluated on its own merits. If you could you please bring up the supporting material file and go to pick 1? It's a different PDF on the second view. To avoid the previous builder's mistakes, we made a real effort to include our affected neighbors, and to be upfront about all of our plans. We engaged the east. Sorry, as I requested, could you please bring up the other file, please? We engaged the east and west adjacent neighbors as early as June of last year, and to get their input and support. Can you go to the proceeding? So it's the proceeding slide. I'm sorry, you're in the wrong file. It should be the support material. This is the cover letter.
We're looking for it, sir, if you want to proceed. We'll find it.
It's on the second. This is the one. Thank you. Okay, so the east and the west adjacent neighbors, we engaged them last June to get their input and support, and later we then engaged the affected surrounding neighbors and conducted site walkthroughs, answered questions, and hand delivered information packages on our plans well in advance of this hearing. Almost all of these neighbors supported the project. Now, if you could go to the next slide, please. Even prior to submitting the COA application, we worked closely with Sharon Yazdani of City Planning to revise our deck plan and to ensure that it would be acceptable with respect to the COA minor variance test criteria. The minor variances that are before you are the result of that collaboration. They have been minimized as they cannot be reduced further due to the structural constraints of the building and for safety reasons. On the west side, the first floor window and the basement walkout prevent the setback from being increased. Sorry, can you please stay on the slide that I asked you to stay on? Thank you. This slide represents where the variances are, so please stay here. On the west side, the first floor window and basement walkout prevent the setback from being increased or the projection from being reduced because of the deck pole and railing locations. On the east side, the position of the deck access doors prevents increasing the side setback as the railing is aligned with the door jamb. The area of the deck depends on 1, the size of the side setbacks, which determine the width of the deck, and 2, the size of the deck's projection from the rear wall. The area variance results from not being able to reduce those dimensions further. Now, if you could go to the next slide, please. Next slide. What makes the variances minor is not just that their sizes are acceptable, but their impacts on the surrounding neighbors really are minimal. There would be no impact to sunlight or noise. Their privacy would actually be improved, and there would be a minimal impact to the neighbor's view due to the heavy trees surrounding our property. So if you slide through the next few slides, you will see very dense trees all the way around. All you have to do is walk through our neighborhood and you will easily see that there are many houses with similar size
Sir,
raised
can you
decks in the
summarize,
area.
sir?
I'm finishing up very quickly.
Yeah,
We included a few recent examples. Sorry?
You have 5 seconds to summarize, sir.
Really, this development would enhance our property and it's welcomed by our neighbors. There's no further demands on city services, and we believe it's an appropriate development for the property.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of the
Thank
speaker?
you.
There being none, we'll go to the next speaker on our list. I have Deborah Harding. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear
I
me?
get your full name and address, please, madam?
Deborah Harding, 311 Belsize Drive. I'm just to the west. I'm the house to the west of this property.
Okay, can you please tell us your thoughts on this application?
Yeah. First of all, just to address some of the concerns that have been raised, I don't think the history of previous, permits and so on has anything to do with this. I actually think that this house and the deck is going to be, the additional deck is typical of many of the houses in the neighborhood, because many of them have been changed, developed, and so on. There's no issue of privacy for me. I will be the one that would be the most impacted, as I'm about 12 inches from the house. And I have absolutely no concerns about sunlight. As Andre said, there's lots of trees, and I prefer that the trees are still there. And proximity, it's absolutely no problem for me because they're very close anyway. And in terms of, let me see, sunlight, aesthetically, it would enhance the look of their property. As you saw from the photos, it's very flat. It's clearly missing an element from the kitchen walkout. And in summary, I don't think there's any legitimate reasons to oppose this project, other than it is a change, which some people are not happy with. Overall, the improvements are reasonable, aesthetically and functionally pleasing, and that this type of improvement should be encouraged and promoted, not disparaged on the basis of the age-old concerns and a convoluted polemic. Anyway, that's my feeling.
Thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Normand Lapointe. Are you there, sir? Yes, hello, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Yes, my name is Norman Lapointe. I'm at 317 Belsize Drive. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I am a neighbor in close proximity to 313 Belsize Drive. In my view, the proposal for a deck for this property is completely inappropriate for the surrounding homes and backyards. The present owner's desire for a deck is understandable, but in my view, given the present size of the house, the size and height of especially the height of the proposed deck, and that the situation was apparent upon purchase of the house, I strongly oppose the proposed plan. Some points. The distance into the backyard combined with the height and size of the proposed deck will destroy any sense of what little privacy we enjoy in our backyard. The deck is of a size that gives license to large gatherings and parties happening above our heads and deep into proximity space of our backyard. There is also a concern that noise carries much further from such a height. The proposed deck is similar even larger than the deck previously and illegally constructed by the builder, and whose after the fact request for a permit was refused by the Committee of Adjustment. The proposed deck would intensify this negative impact of what is already a great wall. The house already extends well into the backyard, well past the general lines of all other neighboring houses. In fact, if I look east from my back door, I see a general sense of space and privacy, even with all the new additions and decks. When I look west from my back door toward 313, I see a large, in-my-face wall obstructing my view. The proposed deck would add to this obstruction. 313 Belsize already has an extensive stone patio at ground level, ample for gatherings and play space. If more space is needed, then perhaps artificial turf might be considered as an alternative to express grass concerns. 313 Belsize mentions some decks somewhat in the area which have been passed by the COA. I had a look at the deck at 348 Millwood, which is a long ways away, and would be okay with a similar structure, but certainly not as high as proposed by 313. Furthermore, contrary to statements of 313, I live adjacent to the east, 2 doors to 313 Belsize, and I have heard nothing regarding any construction plans or was not offered any chance for discussion on this matter. All I got was the note from the COA in the mail. The official plan bylaw guarantees my right to light, privacy, and Davisville bylaws have provisions in place regarding noise control. The deck as proposed ignores all these rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next speaker. I have an Al Keevy. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
My name's Al Keevy. I live at 427 Belsize Drive.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application?
Before I begin, could I ask that my slide deck be put up on the screen?
Al, the slide deck.
I'm representing Sarah today.
The slide deck is being retrieved.
And can you flip to page 3, please? I'll start on page 3. Page 4, please. Sorry. Okay, if I can begin now. As I said, my name is Al Keevy. I'm representing the South Eglinton Ratepayers Association today, Sarah. I'm often invited by residents to appear at these hearings, but I'm representing my personal views on this particular matter. I was very pleased with the chair's comment earlier today. He said that the panel does not deal with precedents. Each application must stand or fail on its planning merits. I believe that that's quite appropriate for this particular case and certainly all cases. I'd like to bring your attention to the Davisville bylaw for rear decks. This is a very special bylaw. It may not be evident to everyone in North York. It was applied to, we had a 3-year study to look at the broad problems in our neighborhood, and this was a result of that 3-year study. It really specifies the size of rear decks in accordance with the residential detached zoning bylaw and other parts of the city. Is specifically designed. The purpose and intent is to reduce the ability for a rear deck to act as a gathering space and to also to control noise impacts. Those are very specific purposes and intent of this specific bylaw. I had an opportunity to talk with the community planner today, Ms. Yazdini, asking her about some statements the owner had made specific to her endorsement of this particular application. She did not indicate to me that she had provided an endorsement. She simply encouraged the owner to work to an appropriately sized deck that would reflect the needs of the broad neighborhood as well. So I think she was not particularly aware of the Davisville bylaw prohibition here, and I reminded her of that, and she was aware of that. Next slide, please. I'm just moving through this quickly. This was the deck that was originally refused at Committee of Adjustment back in 2016. This is part of my presentation at that time. Next slide, please. What I've done here is used a little bit of, it's not photoshopping magic, but my little rendering attempt to try and take the deck that was shown back in 2016 and superimpose the basic size and dimension of the proposed deck that we have here today. It's not the deck that's the problem. I think it's the deck in its position with respect to the height as it would be entered to from essentially on the first floor. This is a house with an integral garage, and the first floor is really quite a bit higher than normal. This creates a privacy and overlook condition. This is similar to the same condition that was present with the deck back in 2016. What we have today is a firmer bylaw through the Davisville bylaw that further prohibits this. Next slide, please. I would argue that this proposed development fails the official plan with respect to privacy and overlook conditions, shadowing. It fails the rear deck bylaw. This is very specific. We have a bylaw. We can read it. We can pay attention to it. The deck could be substantially reduced, I believe, or reconfigured in order to be in greater compliance with the bylaw. It's clearly not reflecting that requirement. The desirable test will have several residents here today who are abutting the property, reflecting that. The test for minor variance is not even close. 4 square meters is the regulation. 11 square meters is not even in close proximity of that. I would recommend that the application be refused in its entirety. We have a case here almost of double jeopardy. We have the Committee of Adjustment back in 2016, albeit the TAY panel saying it was not appropriate. We have new regulations, new bylaws, and I would argue that it's no longer, it's this current configuration is not appropriate. Thank you for your attention today.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. My question to the person is, sir, is your concern is the gathering and the noise in the balcony, or I mean this Davisville village zoning bylaw, why it has not been noticed by the staff?
If I can respond, I believe that in my discussion today with the community planner, she was aware of the bylaw, but she was not aware of that very specific language that I've highlighted to you. And I think part of my mission when I come to North York, as I'm more frequently doing, is to explain that Davisville Village is different. We have a bylaw. It's very specific in its provisions around integral garages, and here today around rear decks. So I would argue that the panel should read the bylaw, make its interpretation based on that. The community planner did not submit a report today, so we have no official record of her position with respect to this application.
So you did not address, I mean, my concern, whether it's the gathering in the balcony and the noise created by the gathering is also your concern?
Absolutely. I live on Belsize. I opposed a large deck similar to this. We now have a small deck with stairs going down, and the condition that I'm most worried about 5 years ago is not a condition I have to face today. So it does work. The neighbors that I'm abutting to have a very wonderful backyard with patio stones, and they do all of their entertainment at ground level behind a 6-foot fence. So I believe that that's what the bylaw encourages and would recommend.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the speaker, you're saying you're representing your own views, but you cite a Davisville bylaw. And can you tell me whether or not that bylaw has any municipal status, or is this something that the community has determined as a community group?
The genesis of the bylaw is our residents association 6 or 7 years ago, in response to many complaints, asked the councillor at the time, Josh Matlow, to do something about essentially 2 problems. One was the integral garage and one was the rear deck. There were very large, numerous complaints around that. The city planning department ran a study, took a 3-year duration. Sarah was only a participant in that study. There were 70 or 100 other residents that provided input to that study. The study was formed the bylaw. The bylaw is fully in force. It's on the books with respect to 569/2013. The wonderful thing about the bylaw regulation is we actually have a study where you can actually go and read the purpose and intent of the bylaw. Many of our bylaws, we cannot read clearly what the purpose of intent is. So there's no ambiguity. The purpose of intent of this bylaw is to reduce the ability to gather in large groups and further to reduce the potential of noise impact. That's the purpose of the study.
So could I summarize, sir, that the provisions of bylaw number 569-2013 incorporated your recommendations?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so they're already contained in what is before us today.
It's in the exception of 5,069/2013, but it's one bylaw, right? Yeah.
569-2013 superseded what came before it, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It's still there today. It absolutely is. Yeah.
It's been made obsolete by 569-2013. It's not a separate zoning bylaw.
No, in its original formation, it was both covered in our original bylaw 468/86. Yeah, it exists in both bylaws, right?
Yeah, but the old bylaw was not carried forward, correct? So it's what was put into 560. So the old bylaw you're referring to was not carried forward. What was carried forward, what's currently in the bylaw now, which incorporated some parts of your previous Davisville guidelines or bylaws or whatever they were at the time.
Absolutely. When it was fully enforced, it was actually inserted to 2 bylaws in applicable at the time. It's still in force with 569/2013.
Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? We'll go to our next speaker, Ray Edney. Are you there? Ray Edney, are you there?
Flick me on.
Yes, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please? Mr. Edney, are you there? Ray Edney, are you there?
Mr. Edney, please do not mute or unmute yourself. City staff will be responsible for that.
Mr. Edney, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, hello. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, you can hear me okay?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, my name is Ray Edney. I live at 315 Belsize Drive. I lived here for 34 years.
Okay, if you could give us your thoughts on this application?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. An application for a deck has previously been refused for 313 Belsize. Even if height restrictions have changed, the impact on our privacy has not changed at all. The overlook would be a significant invasion of our privacy from anywhere in our garden and from our bedroom. The photos we sent in with our letter demonstrate this. House already extends 5.5 meters beyond our house. If this deck is approved, it would add a further 2.5 meters. We've already lost over 2 hours of sunlight during summer months due to the mass of the house. A deck and a privacy screen at first floor level would add to more shadow. Our neighbours are given 4 examples of similar variances which were approved. However, none of those applications were contested, so we don't feel they are valid comparisons. However, we have viewed the rear deck at one of the examples, 384 Millwood. It is about 1 metre above in height, so it does not appear to present any privacy or overlook conditions on the abutting neighbour to the east. This rear deck would be quite appropriate if it could be constructed at 313 Belsize. The variance does not satisfy the intent of the official plan to respect mass and scale of nearby residences. The official plan guarantees us adequate light and privacy. It doesn't satisfy the intent of the amendment to the Planning Bylaw 569/2013 for Davisville Village to control privacy, density and light. It doesn't satisfy the test of desirability. A large rear platform overlooking neighbours is not necessarily desirable. The variance is not minor because of the impact on our privacy, loss of sunlight and openness. We were willing to compromise and we suggested 2 alternatives. A small platform with stairs leading down to a lower level deck or to patio that's already there, or a Juliet style balcony. Both alternatives were adamantly rejected by our neighbours. Also, we were totally unaware of our neighbour's 3-year-old daughter's grass allergy, as we often seen her playing in the back garden with her brother. However, I personally feel uncomfortable bringing children into this equation as pawns here. And to be honest, I'm not sure whether this was referenced. Our neighbours believe we will not notice the deck as they plan to use materials that blend in with their house. But it would be impossible for us not to notice it because of its height, proximity and impact on our privacy. Like, we may be old, but we're not blind. Unlike many residents of the surrounding houses, we use our deck and garden extensively in the spring and summer months. So we feel we will be the most impacted by this proposed deck. There were no extensive consultations with us, just a brief chat in passing last summer. I said then I was not in favour, but they could show me a diagram or sketches and I would take a look at it. The next communication was a package in our mailbox a few weeks ago with a letter ready for us to sign saying we had no objections to the deck. Now, while I am not a person to be easily intimidated, if I was in my garden, relaxing, taking a nap or just poking about, I may feel a bit awkward or uncomfortable should there be a gathering on that deck looking down at me. With respect to the 3 letters from residents stating they have no objection to this application, it should be noted, with the exceptions of 311 Belsize, these residents are somewhat distanced from the proposed deck, unlike us at 5 feet away. We appreciate our neighbours want the convenience of being able to step out of their kitchen or living room onto a deck. But does the convenience for one household trump privacy for another household? I will leave that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, where exactly are you located, sir? In proximity to this house?
Just to the east of it, next door.
Right next door.
Yep.
Okay. So it's really the height then that bothers you, because by right of way, they're still able to, have a maximum 4.0 meters.
Yes. Yeah,
So by right of way, you're going to see them. There is no evading that. They have by right of way and in accordance, the ability to do a deck.
if their deck is 9.5 feet up in the air, yes, it's every way I'm going to see them. We're not going to be able to avoid seeing that. That's our whole opposition to this.
But the minimum area, it's what I'm seeing is they're saying 4 meters and they're requesting 11.24 meters, right? And so you're still going to see it even with the 4 meters that's there. You're still going to be impacted, is what I'm getting at. And you're on the, did you say the east side setback or the west side setback?
No, the east side.
The east side. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions of the speaker? I'll go back to Mr. Matusevich. Sir, you've heard the comments from the previous speakers. If you'd like to respond.
Yes, please. Thank you for the opportunity to respond. Could I please ask that my supporting materials file be shared? I'd like to use some evidence in there to dispel many of these concerns, please. So I think I'll start with the concerns raised by Mr. Edney at 315. That's the property just to the east of me. If you could bring up the presentation and go to picture 6, what you'll actually see today is without the deck itself, right there, perfect. I already have full view of everything in his backyard. I can't see his deck. I can't see his house, but his privacy is already compromised. And as Ms. Sanker just pointed out, I have the right to build a deck that's regulation that will still have the exact same view. What we're proposing is that we actually build a deck that moves traffic away from his property, as he suggested to us back in June, and at the same time put up privacy screens that will actually enhance his privacy. And frankly, we don't really want to look into his backyard either, so this will be a nice addition to us too. Okay, with respect to the sunlight, if you could go to picture 3, please. These are the rears of our properties have a southern exposure. So the only time the deck could possibly have a shadow towards the east would be in the evening. However, at that time, there's a massive shadow from a Norwegian maple located on 311 Belsize to the west that would cast its shadow over both of our properties. And therefore, it's not possible for any deck that we construct to cast any sort of impact from a sunlight perspective onto his property. With respect to view in mass and scale, the deck projection is 2.52 meters. I just want to remind everyone that we have no rear setback variance, right? And the rear setback for our house is a total of 15 meters. So really, the deck itself will not look massive or overwhelming at all from any point in his yard. And there'll be plenty of open sky view. Aesthetically, the view is what they describe as speculative and subjective. The neighbors haven't seen the design, the color, the materials, yet they object. While on the other side, we have neighbors who are fully in support of it and are confident that they would actually like it. We plan to use lightweight coated aluminum decking and railing and opaque glass for the privacy screen so that the deck would look elegant and light and would blend well with the house. As I mentioned, the deck runs across the line of the house, right, to give a more balanced view, and it directs traffic away from him. The only thing that he would see from his deck or his house is a very small, tiny corner of the deck. So I think that would address Ray's view. If you could bring up Mr. Keevy's presentation from Sarah, I want to point out some challenges, some issues with what he's presented, please. Specifically, if you could go to page 6. So the picture that you will see there is of a rendering of a deck that forms, or of our deck, that forms the premise for his entire argument. The rendering of the deck is grossly inaccurate with respect to scale, perspective, and design. The 2.52 projection and the height of the railings, which would be a standard 3 feet, are approximately 1.5 times longer in this picture than they should be. So he's misleading. He's painting a notion that it's huge and bulky when it's not. And city planning said it wasn't. And we actually got confirmation on October 9th, and they re-supported it on November 9th from Sharon Islami that we were in compliance. Lastly,
Okay, sir,
Norm,
thank you very much. Thank you. Can I ask, sir, would you be, are you proposing to put up a 1.8 meter high opaque screen fence along the east and west sides of the deck?
yeah, I absolutely am.
Oh, yeah, okay. So you're stating that in public that you will be putting a 1.8 meter
Absolutely.
high screen, opaque screening along
That's
the east
correct.
and west sides of the deck. Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the speaker? There being none, take it into committee. Can I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, you know, I've listened very carefully to all of the speakers here today, and you know, I know this is very impassioned by a lot of them. And I, you know, in looking at this, I'm still contending with the fact that the Davisville bylaw, as they've said, is already incorporated in 569/2013. You know, there is no sort of a separation of that that's been approved and added on as something extra through city, through council. You know, and if it's already incorporated, it means that staff has already had an opportunity to look at this in detail. So I'm convinced that staff has already taken that into consideration. On top of that, we've got one neighbor on the side who is extremely fully supportive, and there's great measures that were taken to make sure that this is, you know, looks attractive. And by right of way, they can put a deck regardless of you know, regardless. So based on that, and I do empathize with the neighbor on the east side. So what I will do is I will motion to approve this application, but I am going to remove the setback on the east side so that I'll eliminate variance number 2. But I will accept the other variances so long as the owner or applicant puts up the opaque screening on the east and west side at a 1.5 feet opaque screening, so that protects privacy on both sides for both neighbors in an elegant manner. Okay, that's my motion.
Ms. Sankar, just for clarification, it was the height of the screening, 1.5 meters or 1.8?
Sorry, sorry, what's the normal standard? I'm forgetting.
Meters. Okay, 1.8 meters.
Sorry, 1.8 meters, yes.
On both sides?
On east and west side. And the only thing that I'm doing is eliminating variance number 2
okay.
to help the neighbor on the east side, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. We have a motion from Ms. Sankar to refuse variance number 2, approve variances 1 and 3, subject to installation of a 1.8 meter high opaque screening along the east and west sides of the proposed deck. Can I get a motion on that? Can I get a seconder on that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, variance number 2 has been refused, but variance numbers 1 and 3 have been approved, subject to installation of a 1.8 meter high opaque screening along the east and west sides of the deck. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm muted.
Thank you, sir.
I don't understand this. This doesn't.
Pardon me? No. Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to terminate, please? Thank you. We're done. Seconded. Thank you so much, folks. It was a long day. Sorry about the technical hiccups, eh? Have a good one. We'll see you next month.
Take care.